What's going on, y'all? Back at you again. It's your eyes and your ears don't lie. We're going to talk about this most recent Supreme Court decision that happened a couple days ago, and I know a lot of you are probably aware of it, but for anybody that's not or is pissed off as me, the Supreme Court, the most crookedest court, the highest court in the land, the court that said that colleges are forbidden from considering race as far as admission, those chumps just threw out the judgment and cease and desist of the lower court on the feds in LA and said that immigration officials and agents can now racially profile, interact, and detain anyone based on if they believe they're illegal. So how do you decide if somebody's illegal without any probable cause? Racial bias. That's the only way you can do that shit with your profiling, is that if I see you based on your job or your appearance, I think you illegal. And that's basically what they said. There is no logical and legitimate reason that you should be allowing these people via a court order to violate people's Fourth Amendment rights. And I can't stress this enough, that this has been about due process, because if you allow them to violate people's rights and not follow due process, you don't think that's going to extend beyond immigrants? This is their test to see how far they can go with taking military control of shit. These oligarchs and everything that's going on, these are test runs to then branch that out to the entire population. If the court's siding with you now, how do you know that that's not going to extend beyond immigrants as far as violating the Fourth Amendment and due process? So everyone should care about this. Everyone should not be happy with it, regardless of what your political beliefs are, what your ethnicity is. You either believe in right or you believe in wrong. So just to explain a little bit more about that, when you look at I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long ass, just frustrating and infuriatingly stupid ass decision, where you can't make these decisions without being racially biased. So if you hear them speaking Spanish, you can think they're illegal. If you see what type of employment they have, if they're day laborers, if they're working at car washes, and if they're outside of Home Depot, if they're on construction sites, if they're in restaurants working as cooks, or, if they're in hospitality working, you can, landscaping, of course, for some of these resorts and all that. So you can just roll up on them, detain them, take them into ICE custody until you verify a sufficient amount of information that you can prove they're not illegal. Because let's not forget that ICE has detained legal citizens. So it's a big deal that you've just given them blanket racial profiling privileges. And it's disgusting. And the Supreme Court is just a despicable bunch of idiots. Like just degenerates and the worst of the worst. You're not only the highest court in the land, you're the most corrupt and crookedest court in the land. And I knew that for a long time because if you read some of the cases and you read their decisions on it, it's been bullshit for a long time. I knew that this was going to happen when I saw the corruption and the hypocrisy and just the asinine explanation for why you granted the pedophile in chief, the orange-faced gremlin, presidential immunity. Because even in your decision, you wrote that he was immune from shit that he did as president. Okay, the shit that he's being charged with and all that, you weren't even president at the time. So even by your own decision, that shit shouldn't cover him. You did all this shit either to become president or after you were president. So it still doesn't cover all the shit that you're talking about. So this presidential immunity shit, but what it did do is give you the green light to act a motherfucking fool and do whatever you want right now with the total disregard for the law. Because at the end of the day, he knows that he can't be punished for anything that he does. And the only people that can are all your cronies that are involved in this maggot movement, the pedophile profile, the pedophile protection league. So it's everybody else that's doing some career-ending shit. So it's all you other officials that are breaking the fuck out the law that you don't got presidential immunity. Now, what he's likely to do is he'll give you blanket pardons when he leaves office. If he don't croak before, I'm so angry right now, you never let me down. But damn, Simpsons, I ain't never hoped for a prophecy like the Trump prophecy in my life. On all the 30 years you've been on TV. I ain't never wanted a prophecy to be true. But we passed the first week in September and he's still breathing. But I mean, damn. This dude, I keep saying ridiculous because I'm trying to keep it clean enough to where I just want to go ham right now and just, if I had a cuss box right now, that shit'll be full. Buy a car with the money I had to put in that shit. Just outrageous behavior by the courts. And he's instilled that much fear in you guys? Or have you always been this hateful and racist that you just couldn't wait for an opportunity to show your true colors? Or has he instilled that much fear in the courts that, I don't know, this is hard to swallow because in my mind, I know that this ain't gonna stop with them because their goal is to make America white again. So they gonna be tackling everybody of color. So all of you that are sitting around and not thinking it's a big deal and happy that it's just not you, well, it could be. Because you shouldn't have to be anywhere. If you're a decent person that believes in law and order and just human decency, you should have a problem with it. You shouldn't have to be part of the group being oppressed and punished to give a damn. Especially with all y'all so-called Christians out there.